I'm sorry about that, guys. Javier, Francisco, Max, are you seeing the screen?
I can see it.
Yes,
Says
I can
class
see.
list, says class list.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Basically, I thought about what was going on. And it's not so much this, it's the notebook I really want you to see later. So that's basically is what happened. And I got 6 of you back. I guess I only bored 4 of you. All right, if you're seeing this, if you're seeing the class list. Oh, waiting room. Trends back. All right. Oh, Carson's back. Oh, we're up to 8 out of the 11 now. Wonderful. All right, guys. We're doing grading a little bit different than you're used to in intro. How many of you took intro last semester?
Me.
Okay. Remember in intro, each lab was graded. You had a pre-lab that was worth 5 points. And there was a result section that was worth 95, right? Right? Shake your head, Javier. You're the only one I can see right now.
Yes.
Okay. So we're changing it a little bit. Basically, where are you at? Okay, yeah. Second. Why is this? Okay, Saki's in. There it is. That's what I want. Okay. Now, instead of just having a pre-lab and a report, that's broken into 3 areas. Okay. You have a pre-lab, that's worth 10 points. You have a results section. The results section is where you input the laboratory data into tables, or if the information's asked, the results is where you do that. It's also where you do the calculations to come up with the final answer of the particular experiment. Then you have post-lab. Each experiment is going to have a little bit of theory that's involved with it. The post-lab are going to be word problems which test your mastery of that particular material. So it's kind of like if you have a density problem, if it's a density experiment, then the post-lab is going to ask you various questions on if your sample weighs this much and it displaces this much volume, what's the density? Things of that nature. So that is worth the 10, 60, and 30. All told, we have 14 laboratories we're doing this semester. You are going to take the best 13 or 14 pre-labs, the best 13 or 14 results, and the best 13 or 14 post-labs. They do not have to be from the same experiment. If you do the density pre-lab bad, you do the chromatography results bad, and you do the Beer's law post-lab bad, those particular grades, will be taken away from you. Question? All right, so we have 1,300 points there. You're going to have a lab practical final that will be cumulative. You're allowed to use your lab notebooks, and I'll describe that in a second or two. You are allowed to use your lab notebooks during the final. The post-lab, the practical final will consist of, I believe, fill in the blank answers. Don't hold me on that. It's been a month since I've looked at it, so I'm not entirely certain what the test itself looks like. I will tell you closer to that time. but it's cumulative, and you will have a density experiment you have to do. There'll be a VESPER you have to do, and there's going to be a chem reactions portion of that for the final. All told, everything adds up to 1,800 points. Straight 90, 80, 70, 60 grade point system. I do reserve the right to lower the grading scale. I will lower as low as 87. I will not go below an 87. I also will not raise the percentage for an A, B, C, or D. In other words, if I find that the whole class is doing terrific and I have too many A's, well, basically that's on me. I've actually done my job. I've taught you well. So I shouldn't punish you for doing my job well. So I will never lower it. So in other words, if you get a 92, it's absolutely going to be an A. Questions about that? If you have accommodations, in other words, if you need extra time, the only test we have this entire semester is going to be the final. So basically, you're going to submit your paperwork to me now, and I have no problems with giving you extra time. I only have a courtesy request from you. If you are requiring extra time or you do have special needs, please tell me a week before the final so that I can accommodate you. It's just literally speaking, I have 9 classes. I can't keep track of all of you. So I would appreciate that. Yeah. This other stuff is full of fluff. Okay? As with any syllabuses, it's full of fluff. Now, you are required to keep a notebook. In other words, I need to have a spiral bound notebook or a regularly bound laboratory notebook, composition book. I need something like that. It has to all be together in one thing. Loose leaf paper does not work as a notebook. You have to go out and buy a spiral notebook. I believe if you go to Office Depot, you can pick up one for 50 cents or so. So it's not an overburden for you. Now, if you will bear with me, hopefully I can pull it up and hopefully it will register. Oh, if I can't, no, never mind. I can do it. I don't have to go there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, at the very bottom, Instructor Notes. As you open the course, when you open the course, the top panel will be displayed. If you want to get into the guts of the course, you have to go to course content. It will activate the left column here. These are all the modules you have available to you. If you go all the way to the bottom under Instructor Notes and click on it, you will have 2 things pop up for you. Okay. No clue. First of the semester, my courses may be, there we go. Is everybody seeing the title that says CHM 2040 Instructor Notes?
Yes.
Thank you, Javier.
Yes.
Okay. Take notes on this. Now, guys, when you pull up something in my courses, you're going to get this screen first. Usually it takes forever to download. If you want to see the PowerPoint written, it is going to be right there in the original thing. If you want the actual PowerPoint where you can click through things, you have to download it. And it will pop up in a second. Come on. You can do it. Come on, baby. There we go. Come on, come on, come on. There we go. Everybody is seeing the slideshow saying Lab Notebook. Can you see Lab Notebook on this?
No.
No.
Okay. All right, we'll try another way. Lab Notebook. You see it now?
Yep.
Okay. 6 sections. There are 6 sections to a notebook. Objective, chemical hazards, procedures, data table, calculations, conclusions. Objective, a simple sentence saying what you're doing. Okay, Javier, you said you did intro last semester, right?
Yes.
Do you remember the density experiment?
Not too well.
Okay, do you remember any of the experiments? The sand and salt one.
Yeah.
Okay. You remember the sand and salt. What did you do there? What did you finally determine?
We had to find the how much it dissolved. That makes sense.
Yeah, you had to find out how much salt was in the mixture, right? Isn't that ultimately what you did with that experiment?
Yes.
So your objective for the experiment, simple sentence, to find the percentage salt in a salt sand mixture. All I want, one sentence. That's all the objective is. You're going to do an empirical and formula experiment. And basically you're going to be given a compound that has copper, chlorine, and water in it. And what you're going to be asked to do is you're going to do some experimental things, and you're going to determine how much copper, chlorine, the ratio of copper, chlorine, and water is. So the objective is to determine the empirical formula of an unknown compound consisting of copper, chlorine, and water. Simple enough, guys?
Yes.
Yes.
Next section. I need you to do this for your own safety. If you're handling chemicals in the laboratory, you should look up and figure out what the hazards are of those chemicals. All you have to do, you see the chemical name, type it into Google, space, then put SDS. SDS stands for Safety Data Sheet. What I need for you to do is determine the long-term and immediate hazards. I need you to write them in your notebook. Lead nitrate. This is the section that you would see in a safety data sheet. Now what you have to do is you have to look at this and convert that. Sometimes they will say long-term and short-term hazards. You need to break that. Immediate hazards. It can cause eye and skin. You can get lead poisoning from it. And a few other things. So you're taking this whole big technical crap and rewording it into something you can understand. You're going to deal with immediate hazards, and you're going to deal with, this is a long-term hazard, writing the long-term hazards. Do not go on and write a book about this. Just give me bullet points. I just want to make sure that you're aware of the hazards of the particular chemicals you're working with. We clear on that?
Yep.
Yes.
Next step. I need you to write a step-by-step explanation of what you did. The explanation should be detailed enough that you could hand this. You could pull somebody off the street, hand this to them, and tell them, hey, you get $10,000 if you can replicate my results. And they should be able to use your directions and be able to complete the experiment just as you did. That's how detailed. Now, guys, you can write it in a long paragraph form. You can write it in a long paragraph form. What that does is that makes me search for things. If I have to search for things, that gets me irritated. You don't want me irritated. I prefer doing it like this, bullets. One bullet point for each step of the experiment. It's easier to follow that way rather than in paragraph form. If you submit it in paragraph, if you're bound and determined to submit it in paragraph form, I will absolutely grade it, and there's going to be no penalty. But I think it's just easier to do it in this fashion. And this particular experiment has lots and lots of procedures to it. Questions about procedures and what I want you to do for the procedures. Okay. Next section, data table. Remember, I said I want this in a notebook. If the data table is loose leaf, if it is not taped, stapled, glued to your actual notebook, it does not count. It has to be a permanent part of your notebook in order to count. I say that because we do allow you to print out the lab, look at the data table that's in your lab, and use that so you don't have to handwrite everything into your notebook. You're able to do that. You can handwrite everything if you so desire. But the point is, it has to be in the notebook. And what the data table will do is it will record all the measurements that you take, and it will record the final results of your calculations. Do not include calculations in your data page. It confuses the hell out of somebody that is trying to read it. If they're looking at the data, all they want to see is numbers. They don't want to see, when they're looking at the data, they don't want to see how you came up with that number. They will subsequent to that, which is why you have a calculation page. A calculation section will take your calculations from the measurement part to your final answer. That's birth to death of that calculation. I need to see everyone, even if it's something as mundane as an average, even if it's something as mundane as subtracting the crucible weight from the weight of the hydrate and crucible. I need to see every calculation. If you do multiple trials, and you will have experiments where you're doing the same experiment over and over because you want to get consistent results. If you're doing multiple trials, I only need to see one. You can put all of the trial values in there, but I only need to see one. So if I'm doing a calculation, this is the way I want to see it in the notebook. I need you to say what the number belongs to. Mass of hydrate and crucible. Mass of hydrate and crucible minus mass of crucible. I need to see the numbers. That equals the mass of the hydrate. I need to see you take that down to every value. I know I did. I take it you're not seeing. Are you seeing the lab notebook up here now?
Yeah, we see it.
Okay. Thank you. It wasn't allowing me to move the slide bar. So the calculations, if I'm doing the empirical formula, this is all the calculations that are involved. I want to see everything. I want to see all those calculations. That's what I mean from birth to death. Last section is a conclusion. When you're writing a conclusion, the first statement in the conclusion should answer the objective. So if the objective was to find the density of a solid, first statement in the conclusion should be the density of my unknown solid was 8.93 grams per milliliter. The empirical formula of my compound was CuCl.5H2O. That's what needs to be in the first sentence. The second sentence, you need to have a prose analysis of an error, one error. You have to look at the experiment and think what could have gone wrong. Then, after you propose that error, you have to look at it and say, okay, how did that affect my result? All right. When I heated my hydrate sample, I may not have driven off all the water. If that happened, then my anhydrous weight was larger than it should have been. Because my anhydrous weight was larger than it should have been, the weight of my water was less than it should have been. Therefore, my ratio of copper to water was too high. Are you understanding what I'm saying by my error analysis?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
If-
I did have a question, by the way.
I need questions have a cost. You have to tell me your name.
It's Samir.
Samir, go for it.
So we're going over a lot of things. So I was gonna ask, is this gonna be recorded so we can review it afterwards?
Both the PowerPoint and the meeting are going to be recorded. I
Okay.
may have, by moving to the second meeting, I may have obliterated the first part of it. Okay?
Okay.
If that happens, what I'll do is I will include a recording from last night's, my last night's lab. Is that fair enough?
Yes.
Okay. If I give you the right answer, to the experiment, that means I'm going to want you to do a percent error. The formula for the percent error is the actual value, the experiment value, what you actually did and came up with as a result, the experimental value, minus the expected value. The expected value is the real value, the one I give you. So experimental value minus the real value divided by the real value times 100. If you determined the molar ratio between copper and chlorine was 2.10, and I tell you the real value was 2.0, then to get the percent error, you take the value you got, 2.10, minus the value you should have gotten, 2.00, divide that by the value you should have gotten, multiplied by 100. In this particular case, this came up with a 5% error. Any questions? I've already intimated that there are times. Why is this doing this? I've already intimated that sometimes, especially, I know for a fact it's done in the molarity of a base. Sometimes what's going to happen is you're going to do multiple trials where you expect the same result. If you're testing to determine how concentrated the base is, and you haven't either added or taken any of the water away from it, then you expect the concentration to remain the same. You're going to do this trial at least 3 times. You expect the same result. So what you want to do is you want to be able to make a numerical determination of how precise you are. You do that with something called a standard deviation. What you're going to do is you're going to take all your trial values, add up all of them, get the average of them. Then you're going to take your trial 1 value, subtract the average from it, take the absolute value of that number. In other words, when you take the absolute value of it, what you are doing is you are making whatever the number is, whether it's positive or negative, you always make it positive. Trial 1 value minus average, absolute value, plus trial 2 minus the average, absolute value, all the way out to your last trial value minus the average, absolute value. You take all of those numbers, add them all up, and divide it by the number of trials you have. If I did it 4 times, and I came up with these 4 molar ratios. I know it says 5, but when I actually did it, I only came up with 4. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take each one of my trial values, come up with my average. Then I'm going to take my first trial, subtract the average from it, take the absolute value, I get a positive 0.03. My second one, minus the average, I have a positive 0.01. Third one, again, this is a negative number, but I'm going to add it as a positive. And I'm going to do the fourth one. I add up all those numbers, I get 0.08. I divide that by the total number of trials. That means that my standard deviation is plus or minus 0.02. In the real world, what that means is that because of the preciseness you have, your values can be plus or minus the standard deviation from the average. That means you have a range that your answer is in. So because this is plus or minus 0.02, and because the average is 2.06, my real answer lies somewhere between 2.04 to 2.08. Make sense, guys?
Yes.
Okay, yes, I know I'm talking along, and I know I'm going on a lot longer than I should. And I do apologize for that.
I don't think you're going on too long. I think you're doing a pretty good job of clarifying it.
Well, I hope so. Anyway, that's the whole purpose behind it. Okay, now I'm going to go through the computer program. You guys are probably familiar enough with this. If I'm being redundant, I apologize. Course home. If you go to the course home, the major thing you need to see from this is this area over here. That's where announcements are going to go. Each Sunday by 5 p.m., I'm going to put in the announcements, the assignments that are due that next week. Your assignments are due by Wednesday at midnight. Okay? All assignments are due Wednesday at midnight. I do not accept late assignments. I am strict on that because it's my firm belief if you grade if you grade things at different times, you inherently have an unequal bias. That's part of the reason, and it's also a pain to do things at different times. If you want to see the assignments, you can look at the calendar. If you look at the calendar and you look at next Wednesday, you go all the way down to the last thing. You have various assignments that are due. We good, guys? Good so far?
Yes.
Course
Yeah.
content. If you want to look at the syllabus, you can click there. If you want the experiment schedule is the thing that's important. Don't even worry about the course schedule. Look at the experiment schedule, because that's going to tell you which experiments are due when. This week, after I get done with this, I got to quickly go through a safety instruction. The only reason I'm really going, you're not going to have any chemicals you're dealing with, so you're going to be safe this semester. I have to go through it because you have a safety quiz that's due next, January 20th at midnight. So if you want to see what experiments are coming up, the experiment schedule is where you go. Come on. Must be a lot of people using my courses today. Okay, the lab manual. You can get the experiments in two places. You can click on lab manual, and I am not going to click on this because it's a lot of pages here. You can click on the lab manual, and it will have the entire lab manual listed. There is an instruction right below that on reviewing a graded quiz. Huh? I have no idea what this is. I have no idea why this is in there. Oh, that's all right. Guys, you're going to have to upload graphs. If you want to know how to do that, that's going to be in that instructions. If you want to know how to review a graded quiz, this is going to get you into a video that's going to lead you.
Is to show you how to review a grade.
How to look at my comments, the comments I make on a quiz. All right. Now the guts of what I really want to talk about are coming up, I swear to God. I know you're on pins and needles. All right, so after that, ladies and gentlemen, we get into the guts. From here on down, from safety on down, are your individual experiments. There is a safety sheet. Use it. The safety sheet should give you a series of safety rules. Use that to do the safety quiz. There's a screen reader on it. There's a video. The reason there is a video here is because you're going to be doing a safety quiz and a syllabus quiz. Part of the syllabus quiz is uploading a picture. We want to be sure you can upload a picture into my courses so that I can see it. If I give you a bad grade, by a bad grade, I'm talking about you'll look and you'll see a 25, 35%. What that means is you haven't uploaded the picture correctly. Please go back, review the video, and redo the syllabus quiz. You have multiple attempts at it. And another thing, guys, I get awfully bored looking at pictures of goggles. Entertain me. If you entertain me sufficiently, I'll give you an extra point. If I laugh at something you show me, I'll give you an extra point on this quiz. Safety quiz, after we get done with this, going through the individual sections of the course, I'm going to go through some safety material. So after I go through the safety material, you can feel free to take the quiz. You also have a pre-lab. The pre-lab is, let's just open it, just for kicks and giggles. Start quiz. This is really, really difficult, ladies and gentlemen. Are you seeing it?
Yes.
Yeah.
If you click the no, you do not get the points. So, what we're doing with this first lesson, this acts as your pre-lab. So this is going to be 10 points. The safety quiz is going to act as your results section. It's going to be worth 60 points. The syllabus quiz is going to be worth the 30 points. Why do computers do what you tell them to do rather than what you want them to do?
What?
Why do computers do what you tell them to do rather than what you want them to do?
Hey, they're just being faithful, all right?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I've never had a computer ever once do what I wanted to do.
Sorry about that. All right. We're in 122. Are you still seeing the screen?
Yes.
All right. I apologize about that. Okay. Now I'm going to go into one of the individual courses. Oh, before I do that, the data. You are not going to be doing any of the experiments. It's also not going to be like the intro. In intro, didn't you have to look at videos and see the videos and see the results and record them?
Yeah.
That's going to happen very infrequently. It may happen with the first assignment, the chem and physical changes in properties. It may occur for that one, but most of the other laboratories are going to have data handed to you. So you're going to go all the way down to this section. Right after, Vesper is the last experiment you're doing this semester. Right after the last experiment, click on student data for labs. And if you click on that, this is where you will get all of the experimental data. Wait a second. Yeah. Okay, thank you. I was right. Chem and physical properties, you are going to have to look at the video and make observations. From those observations, you're going to have to determine what kind of change it is. But other than that, you're given everything. You're given everything. I may have to get this re-uploaded. I may have to fix this, guys. I'm sorry. So in any case, for example, in this first lab, you will get this information that you're going to have to put in. You will get this information, all the measurements you should have made, you will get. Oh, yeah, it's fine. Yeah, okay. I'm sorry. Sorry, I got distracted there for a second. All the measurements you would have made had you been in the lab will be provided for you. All you're going to have to do is do the calculations, and I'm going to give you a template to do the calculations. So realistically, guys, you're going to have to really, really watch out for your measurement readings and especially for your significant figures. That's what I take the most points off of. Questions on where you're going to find the data? Questions? I'm hearing crickets, so I'm going on. If I have a normal lab, let's go with this one. Each of the experiments, you're going to have a video of the experiment being performed. Okay? You're going to have a pre-lab, results, and post-lab. Pre-lab needs to be done the midnight before the experiment is performed. There's a results and a post-lab. The results and post-lab are due for you guys, it's going to be the Wednesday after the experiment is performed. So, for example, this first week, I'm going to give a safety lecture. So you're going to have by the 20th, by January 20th, you are going to give me the pre-lab for safety, the safety quiz, the syllabus quiz, and the pre-lab for chem and physical properties, which is what we're going to do next week. On the 27th, you're going to give me the results and the post-lab for chem and physical properties and the pre-lab for density. The experiment, we're going to do that next week. And it's going to stagger like that. Is there any question about what I'm requesting you to do?
No.
No.
Also in here, you have notes and you have a Dropbox. Each experiment is going to have a Dropbox with the exception of the safety one. So what you're going to do, you're going to fill out your notebook. You are going to take pictures of your notebook and you are going to upload them into the Dropbox. That is where I am going to see them to grade them. Now, guys, I am really interested in the fact that you demonstrate that you know how to do a notebook. So the first couple weeks, I'm going to be very, very picky about how you're doing your notebook. Once you get 100% on a notebook, you've just demonstrated to me that you know what you're doing. And from that time on, you can be fairly sure that you're going to get 100% for the rest of the notebooks. I need you to demonstrate that you know how to do a notebook well. That is why you should do the first couple notebooks very, very well. I want you to do them. I want you to do them through the density experiment. At least do the one for here and at least do the density experiment. I want you to do them very, very well. I will be grading everybody's notebook strenuously to that point. From here on, if you've demonstrated you know how to do a notebook, I'm not going to be as strict about it. Does that make sense, guys? But
Yes.
you do have to submit a notebook each and every time you do an experiment. And the other advantage of doing the notebook, you're allowed to use it as a reference for your final practical. Any questions?
Yeah, I kind of have a question. Can we use the Word document for the notes?
No,
And then, oh no, okay.
no. Because literally speaking, okay, I got to be strict on this. I am going to be strict on this. You are correct. It's like a doctor's office. You go into a doctor's office, they don't take hand notes anymore. They sit there with the computer, right? Right, guys?
Right.
Yes.
All right. In the future, I could see this is where it's going. If it hasn't gone that way yet. But for right now, they're insisting a handwritten notebook. So I gotta adhere to the rules they're given. So no, you're not allowed to use Word documents for your notebook. Sorry.
Oh, good. I understand.
Anybody else?
Yeah, it says sign diagonally across the page. Like how, like, do I have to write over
No,
all my notes that I took?
just one page.
It's like at the bottom or something.
No, just what they want you to do is, I'm trying to get a piece of paper here with, okay. You see my note page?
Yeah.
We're still.
Oh, you can't see my note?
Well, I see
Sorry, I
you
was looking
holding
at
it
your.
up in front of us. Yeah.
Yeah, I see it there. I was
Okay.
looking at the shared screen. Sorry.
Are you seeing what I did?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I want you to do for that. One page. Do it on the first page. It doesn't make sense for you. Yeah, there are other people that insist on every page. One page is fine. If you're going to go to all that trouble to do one page and then that I can't tell that it's disjointed because you copied somebody else's work, if you've gone to that much trouble, guys, God bless you. Any other question? Communication. If you need to talk to somebody, you can get in here, I believe, pull up class list, and you can click on somebody and then hit email. You have access to them. If you want to review my comments on your quizzes, you're going to need to go to submission review. You're going to hit quizzes. And unfortunately, right now, because there are no quizzes submitted, I can't really fully demonstrate it. If you're having trouble with this, stay after class one day and we'll go through one of your old quizzes and I'll show you how to do it. But you go ahead and under submission review, hit quizzes. Then what you do is you click the arrow to the right. Do not click on the quiz because that will give you the actual quiz itself. You want to click to the arrow to the left. When you do that, that will, there will be a box that's highlighted. Inside that box, there'll be a submission. Hit submissions. That will make another box which hits attempts. Click on the attempt. That will allow you to see the results. Again, we have instructions in my courses to do that. If you're still not understanding, stay after class and I'll be happy to show you how to do that. Last column is grades. Grades, unfortunately, Dr. Musgrave has a very, very long grade book. He basically tells you how many points you need to get an A, B, C, or D based upon how many assignments you've completed. It is huge. It's confusing as anything. If you want to know about your grade, better yet, email me. We'll go through it privately and I will show you your grades and I will calculate them in front of you. That's the easiest way to go about doing this. Now, the only thing I have left to do is I have the safety to do. And I'm going to go through that hopefully very quickly. There are about 19, 20 rules about it. Are we good with everything I've done so far?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Safety. And there's only 4 slides. All right. Now, this is more for you to do well on the safety test. Remember, if you go into safety, the first the first line was the safety page. Download that, print that, and look through that as you're taking the safety quiz. If you don't obey the rules, you're going to be dismissed from class. Personal protective equipment. Guys, I fully expect in the fall that you are going to be in face-to-face labs. So if you haven't purchased them yet, you need to do that because you're not going to be allowed in the lab without them. You need to purchase a pair of goggles, ANSI qualified, and you need to purchase a lab coat. The lab coat does not substitute for proper dress. You need to be covered when you're dressing from your neck down to your ankles. Pants, waist down to the ankles, no holey jeans, no holes within the pants. We want to give an extra layer of protection between the chemicals and you. Tops, no midriffs. You have to have, the top needs to cover your entire torso from the waist up through the shoulders over to halfway down the arms. No low cut blouses. Guys, leave your wife beater shirts at home. If you have shoes, they've got to cover the entire foot. Basically, guys, if you have chemical, what's going to happen if you spill it? Where is it going to go?
The ground,
It's going to
near your
go
feet.
down. What's down? Your feet are. Basically, the reason colleges emphasize this aspect so much is because we had so many injuries due to people spilling chemicals on their open feet that we have finally had to say, okay, enough is enough. The shoes cannot be backless. They cannot be open-toed. They can't be sandals, Crocs, anything like that. Your clothing. Do not wear synthetic fibers. If anybody has ever done this, if they've ever removed nail polish while wearing nylons, if you drip the nail polish remover on the nylons, you create huge holes. The nail polish remover dissolves nylon. Synthetic fibers can be dissolved by organic solvents. Therefore, you don't want to wear them. Plus, synthetic fibers, if you burn them, they will melt right to your skin. No contacts. When I was in high school, a good friend of mine nearly fused his soft lenses to his cornea. Please, in the future, don't wear contacts. You could create a huge problem with your eyes.
How did that happen?
Basically, you have to understand, I was in high school in 1975, guys. There weren't requirements to wear goggles back then. So he was working with an organic solvent and it splashed into his eyes. Believe it or not, even if you're wearing goggles, things can happen. I am allergic to ethyl acetate. If you've ever smelled nail polish, the smell from nail polish comes from ethyl acetate. When I was working as a synthetic chemist, I had to literally use gallons of this stuff. So when I was using the gallons of the stuff, the odors were able to penetrate through my goggles and I developed conjunctivitis from it. I spent about a month going to the emergency room every week to try and get my eyes flushed. So it can happen. No horseplay. Respect the inherent dangers that are involved in a chemistry lab. A green little chemist on a green little day, mix some green little chemicals in a green little way. Now the green little grasses do tenderly wave, or the green little chemist, green little grave. Ladies and gentlemen, no unauthorized experiments. If you have a liquid that is yellow and a liquid that is blue, Do not mix them to see if you get green. Do not aim your test tube at another student. It may be loaded. Seriously, if you are heating a test tube, do not make sure that it's aimed in a direction that there aren't people. Don't heat anything that you're not told to do that. If you do get chemicals spilled on you, strip all your clothes off. Your modesty is not going to save your health. Strip all your clothes off, go to the nearest shower, and stay under there for 15 minutes so all the chemicals get washed away. As I said, even though you're wearing goggles, you still can be affected. I had a student about 2 years ago, was wearing gloves. They were doing the titration lab. And what they did was they reached under their goggles and scratched their eye. They introduced base into their eye, which is a very, very, you can go blind from doing that. If that happens, go to the eye wash, hold your eyes open, stick your face in there for 15 minutes. When you get to the lab, know where your first aid kit and fire extinguishers are. You're not allowed to eat, apply makeup, or drink while you're in a lab, because the easiest way to poison yourself is orally. Report allergies. I had when I was first doing this lab about 7, 8 years ago, I had a girl that reported that she was allergic to sulfur. We were doing different experiments then, and what we were doing is we were generating hydrogen sulfide gas. I didn't think anything of it because hydrogen sulfide is a different chemical from sulfur. She told me she went home that night and was coughing up blood. So it's very, very important that you report the allergies that you have. If you're not using the equipment, especially a Bunsen burner, turn it off. Be aware of others in the room. How many of you have ever been to a bar? When you were in the bar, what were the chances of you spilling a drink on yourself versus somebody else spilling a drink? Look at the videos that are posted on the site. Look at them. These are the people that are dangerous to you. Be aware of where others are. They are more than likely going to be the ones spilling the chemicals on you. Don't return chemicals to the original bottle. Recap the bottles after you've taken something out of it. If you spill or break something, let me know. Got to tell you a story, guys. Has anybody ever eaten beef bourguignon?
Say it again.
Beef bourguignon. It's a
No.
French beef stew. Wonderful. It's an absolutely delicious meal. It's what I ask for every birthday. Well, how you make it, you take the beef cubes, you put them in flour, you shake them around, then you go ahead and saute it. Then after the meat gets brown, what you do is you take a cup of cognac, pour it over the meat, and then you light it. Well, if you've ever watched a cooking show, the way they light it is they take the pan and they tip the pan, the odors of the alcohol go over, meet the gas, and it kind of lights the whole thing. I'm thinking, I can do this. No problem. What they don't tell you in those cooking shows is they don't tell you that you're not supposed to heat the cognac for 5 minutes before you do it. I did that. I looked around. My wife is quiet. My dog is not talking. She doesn't have to ever know about it. Then I start sniffing. Oh my God. I used to have bangs, guys. This burned a triangle out of my bangs. I was dead meat when my wife got home. The reason I tell you that story is to illustrate hair burns very, very easily. When you finally do get into a lab, you're going to be very interested in what's happening. So you're going to try and look very, very closely. As you do that, a little bit of hair is going to come very close to a Bunsen burner. Tie your hair back. After you're done with the experiment, wash the bench and wash your hands. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here for 2.5 hours. At the end of that 2.5 hours, there is going to be a body function you want to relieve. Gentlemen, I bring this up to you in particular. When you go to try and relieve that body function, you are going to touch a very sensitive area of your anatomy. You will do that once without washing your hands, and you will be immediately reminded as to why you should have washed your hands. You need to wash everything off, even though you're wearing gloves. Be aware, hot glass looks the same as cold glass. If you see a piece of glassware, approach it by taking your hands, form a cup around it, and get closer and closer and see if you feel heat radiating from it. That's basically all I got. By January the 20th at midnight, you need to give me the pre-lab for the safety quiz, syllabus quiz. You also need to give me the pre-lab for chem and physical properties. Now, yes, I know I've been on the talking for 1.5 hours. Does anybody have any questions? Or do you all just want to get the blah out of here?
I have one question.
I'm here.
So I was checking the syllabus, and I noticed that the class normally goes from 9:30 to 12:10, right? Do most like when we start actually doing the labs, does it usually take like the 3 hours?
No, it's 2.5, but no. Generally speaking, I'll run the class 45 minutes to an hour. I'll give you a lecture, 45 minutes to an hour. Then as far as I'm concerned, you're free. Okay?
Okay.
By the way, before more questions, I see Faye is here. I know Max was here. Charlotte Baden. Charlotte Baden? Is Charlotte here? I saw Doodley, Carson, Samir, James, Arthur.
Yep.
Arthur, did I have you before?
I believe so.
Okay. That's a good sign, guys. Saki, I saw. Aditya?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Aditya, am I saying that correctly?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay. Francisco Pascal.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, thank you. And I know I'm going to butcher this. Thing. Mr. Tran, I saw your name in here. I want to know
It's me.
how to pronounce your name.
Oh, it's 10.
10?
Yeah, you got it.
Thank you very much. And Javier, I saw. Ladies and gentlemen, you are free to go, unless you have questions.
Thank you, Professor.
Take care.
Thank you. Take care.
Have a good day.
Faye, are you the only
Thank
one
you.
in here? Oh, Saki's here. I was thought I only had one female in the class for a second.
Have a great weekend, guys.
You have a great weekend, and we will see you next week at 9:30.
Yes, sir. You got it.
Take care.
You too.
Professor, I have a question.
Hi, Saki.
Hi, so I'm from Japan. I'm an international student.
Uh-huh.
So my English is not like, American level.
Oh, dear God. You are dealing with somebody that grew up in Pittsburgh, lived in New York for a year. Then I went and I have some little bit of Milwaukee, California, and Miami thrown in. I hope you can understand me.
I do. But the problem is if I take a note, like if I write down like something weird English, like a grammar and stuff, you still gonna.
Saki, I have an English degree. No,
I mean, I try not to.
Saki, no, I'm kidding with you, okay? No, do not worry about, I'm not going to grade grammar. All right.
Yeah. And then also like a first two, like a note submission. So we can get the 100%, even though you give me 60% at first point, but we can fix it or no.
Have you already taken? Have you
I
already
have-
taken? Oh, so I'm not under. All right. All right. The first assignment,
Yeah.
pre-lab,
Yes.
10 points.
Right. Yeah.
The safety quiz, 60 points.
Hmm.
The syllabus quiz, 30 points. That adds up to 100. Okay.
Yeah, I know. What I worry about is note. Because I have never took like a note and to submit for the chemical like a
Are you
lab.
talking about the notebook?
Yes.
Okay. Saki,
Mhm.
trust me. I literally speaking, the notebook is designed to raise your grade.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I will work with you.
Okay.
All right. All I want you to do is demonstrate by the end of the semester. I want you to be able to demonstrate that you are able to write a notebook.
Okay.
Okay. That's
Mhm.
all that is.
Okay. That's perfect.
What part of Japan?
Osaka.
Okay.
Mhm.
It's a little bit south, right? South of Tokyo, anyway.
I can say that, but just
Okay.
a little bit though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Second
It's
largest city?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Well.
My grandson
Mhm.
would absolutely would love to go there.
Have you ever did?
He wanted to take Japanese in high school, but it wasn't offered.
Oh.
So it's something for the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, have you ever been before?
No, I haven't.
No, you
No, I
better.
have. I will. Eventually I will. It's on the
Mhm.
list.
Yeah. I'm glad to hear that.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You take care, and I will see you next week then.
Yes. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Have a great day.
Thank you.